Toe-side backside 180s have the reputation for being the hardest of the 4 base 180s. But if you have a way to learn the handle pass position, lower body turn, and landing position prior to normal attempts at the spin, you can really change the perception of how hard this trick is to learn. With this sequence of steps, I hope to slowly change the reputation and help you land both regular and switch versions in just one session out behind the boat. Let's get started. For the first step, we need to train our lower body and upper body to engrave the finish position for most of the progression. Start in the middle of the wakes and slow the boat down to about 12 to 13 miles per hour. Stand on the center line in between the wakes and get into the cuffed riding position. Make sure that your shoulders are facing back, level with the water, and your eyes are looking straight back away from the boat. Once in the cuff position, slide the board 180 to the switch cuff position. Ride switch cuffed with your shoulders and head still back for a count of 3 and then slide the board back to your regular stance. Repeat this back and forth surface 180 a few times to get used to the movement. For the next step, we'll add a little bounce to switch the board. Get into the cuff position again on the center line between the wakes at the same slow speed. Lean over the tail of the board and then start to bounce or ollie the board 3 times. On the third bounce, slide the board 90 degrees into the cuff slide position and hold the slide for a count of 3. Then slide the board to the switch cuff position. Once switch stance, lean over the tail of the board and bounce 3 times again. On the third bounce, slide the board 90 degrees back into the cuff slide position. Hold the slide, then turn back into the regular cuffed riding position. Only your lower body, hips, and board should be changing position, while your upper body, shoulders, and head maintain position facing away from the boat. Repeat this step until you build some comfort. Once comfortable, repeat the 3 bounces in the cuff position, but ollie the board a full 180 into the switch stance cuffed riding position. Once switch, 3 bounce ollie back to regular and repeat the 180s, remaining cuffed until you get it consistent. This is the upper body position you will hold for the landing, but also the lower body and board turn you will execute in the air to do the 180s. So most of these previous steps will help you memorize the movements while we gradually work upwards to doing more aggressive versions of the same movement. For the next step, we'll move outside the wakes and increase the boat speed to about 15 miles per hour. The setup and head positions are crucial for the next step, so pay close attention. Edge out heel side to set up for a toe side approach like you would normally do. On the way out, get into the cuffed riding position with your head looking back away from the boat. Once you're in the cuffed riding position, look forward again, but remain cuffed. While cuffed and looking forward towards the wakes, approach the wakes and ride over the foamy mound of water. When you feel lift from the wake, slide the board to switch and ride out of the 180 in the switch cuffed position. As you turn through the 180, turn your head away from the boat to ride out of the 180 looking away. Approach the wake looking forward, finish looking away. Make sure you hold the landing cuff position for a count of 3 inside the wakes to get comfortable and to establish control. Then cut out the other side of the wake to perform the same setup and movement, but in your opposite stance over the wake. You should be able to do these repetitively back and forth across the wakes to get comfortable. First regular, then switch. You will also do them back and forth separately with a setup in between at first, but eventually your cuffed comfort level will allow you to pop higher and go back and forth without ever coming out of the cuff position, as you can see Chad doing here. He never turns out of the cuff position to perform both 180s over the wake. You will need this level of comfort for the wake-to-wake versions we'll go through next. For the wake-to-wake attempts, we'll need to shorten the rope to about 40 feet. You'll also need to increase the boat's speed just enough so you have a clean wake to pop over. The super short rope length should allow you to keep the speed slower, so any falls will be very forgiving. Now for this step, you get some help from the boat driver. The boat driver should turn the boat towards your landing as you near the trough on your takeoff side during the approach. This early turn away from your takeoff towards the landing will narrow the wake to help you clear it easily, but also mellow out the landing side wake and decrease line tension so you can land in the cuff position easily. Make sure the driver turns towards the landing side of the wakes, away from the takeoff side, not toward the takeoff side, and it may take some practice and communication to get this timing down. To start these wake-to-wake attempts, you'll need to edge out heel side normally, just like you did for the one-wake attempts. Turn into the cuff position while edging out and look back. Once cuffed, look forward and edge in to pop the trick off the wake. As you leave the wake, turn the board and your lower body only to spin the 180 over both wakes and land cuffed looking away from the boat. Come out of the cuff position after holding the landing and cut out to do the trick in your opposite stance, wake to wake on the other side. Do them with separate setups at first until you accomplish both 180s regular and switch stance. Then eventually do them over both wakes without ever coming out of the cuff position to build comfort and control. Alright, after you go through this progression a few times, building muscle memory and comfort along the way, You should have the body position and handle pass position in the air engraved, and the position on the landing consistent enough to try normal, handle pass, wake to wake, toe side, backside 180s, both regular and switch stance at the same speed and rope length as the previous step.